Back in January, during the literal final hours of his presidency, Joe Biden gave preemptive pardons to a number of his allies, including Dr. Fauci, General Mark Milley, Liz Cheney, Benny Thompson, and 5 of his own relatives, including his son, Hunter.
We have some breaking news we want to share related to all this. President Biden pardoning his family members minutes before President-elect Trump is sworn in.
Many of us called the move out at the time for being sleazy, but it was out of anybody's control. He was still the president, and the president has the authority to pardon whoever he wants. But what if Biden didn't actually pardon them? Rather, what if some shadow president did? President Trump just reopened what we all thought was a shut case. He said the pardons that sleepy Joe Biden gave to the unselect committee of political thugs and many others are hereby declared void, vacant, and of no further force or effect because of the fact that they were done by autopen. All right, let's break some things down here. An autopen is a machine set up to perfectly mimic someone's signature. It's used in legal offices or anywhere someone needs to sign lots of documents, and it'd be impractical for them to do it all by hand. Trump goes on. In other words, Joe Biden did not sign them, but more importantly, he did not know anything about them. The necessary pardoning documents were not explained to or approved by Biden. He knew nothing about them, and the people that did may have committed a crime. He doubled down on the idea later that day on Air Force One.
Are those executive orders, those pardons from the former president now null and void?
Well, I think so. It's not my decision. That'll be up to a court. But I would say that they're null and void because I'm sure Biden didn't have any idea that it was taking place. And somebody was using an autopen to sign off and to give pardons to, as an example, just one example, but the J6 Unselect Committee. They gave pardons with an autopen. I don't think Biden knew anything about it.
Back in 2005, the Office of Legal Counsel at the DOJ said having a subordinate sign an executive action by autopen is allowed. The president need not personally perform the physical act of affixing his signature to a bill he approves and decides to sign in order for the bill to become law, the office said. Okay, so the fact that Biden didn't actually sit at a desk with an actual pen to sign the pardons doesn't automatically make them void. An official document signed with an autopen is still legally binding. But that's not what Trump is getting at here. Trump's team is saying they suspect that the autopen pardons were done behind Biden's back by another staff member, meaning the sitting president of the United States might not have had a clue these executive actions were happening. This could be a major issue. If all this could be proven in court, and if a judge ruled in Trump's favor, those with quote-unquote fake pardons could be taken into account by Pam Bondi and the Trump DOJ. To be sure, it's a lot of what-ifs. Would Biden have to admit that? Yeah, I never signed these. This is a guy likely with dementia. We don't know if he remembers, and even if he does, he won't throw his cronies under the bus. Still, this would explain the confusion Biden appeared to show to the media when they asked him about the pardons.
Have you ruled out a pardon for yourself or any other additional members of the family?
For myself?
Yes, sir.
What would I pardon myself for?
That's what I'm asking.
No, I have no contemplation of pardoning myself for anything. I didn't do anything wrong.
And here's Speaker Mike Johnson detailing a frustrating conversation with Biden, who was president at the time.
Real quickly, Mr. President, can I ask you a question? I cannot answer this from my constituents in Louisiana. Sir, why did you pause LNG exports to Europe? Like, I don't understand, liquefied natural gas is in great demand by our allies. Why would you do that? Because you understand, we just talked about Ukraine. You understand you're fueling Vladimir Putin's war machine because they got to get their gas from him, And he looks at me stunned with this, and he said, I didn't do that. And I said, Mr. President, yes, you did. It was an executive order, 3 weeks ago. And he goes, no, I didn't do that. And he's arguing with me. I said, Mr. President, respectfully, could I go out here and ask your secretary to print it out? We'll read it together. You definitely did that. And he goes, oh, you talk about natural gas. Yes, sir. He said, no, you misunderstand. He said, what I did is I signed this thing we're gonna conduct a study on the effects of LNG. I said, no, you're not, sir. You paused it. I know. I have the export terminals in my state. I talked to those people this morning. This is doing massive damage to our economy, national security. It occurred to me, Barry, he was not lying to me. He genuinely did not know what he had signed.
So the question is, who controls the autopen? Trump is suggesting that the J6 committee may have played a part in their own pardons. Those on the Unselect Committee who destroyed and deleted all evidence obtained during their 2-year witch hunt of me and many other innocent people should fully understand that they are subject to investigation at the highest level, Trump said. The fact is, they were probably responsible for the documents that were signed on their behalf without the knowledge or consent of the worst president in the history of our country, crooked Joe Biden. Maybe, maybe not. The Heritage Foundation's oversight project discovered the use of the autopen as part of a larger investigation into perfectly identical signatures throughout Biden's presidency. Apparently in late December 2022, while Biden was vacationing in the Virgin Islands, he did that a lot, someone pardoned 6 criminals using the Biden autopen. And all the pardons say signed in the city of Washington. The Missouri Attorney General called on a federal investigation to determine whether Biden's pardons and executive orders can be legally challenged. The AG said on X, "I am demanding the DOJ investigate whether Biden's cognitive decline allowed unelected staff to push through radical policy without his knowing approval. If true, these executive orders, pardons, and other actions are unconstitutional and legally void." The Heritage Foundation is alleging that the last presidency was controlled by the lucky fella holding the autopen instead of the 82-year-old Biden, whose cognitive abilities, even Democrats now admit, was rapidly declining. Unlike Biden, who the media and his handlers conveniently left out of the spotlight while he was mentally declining, there's one Democrat who loves the spotlight, and that's Gavin Newsom. For more on his new podcast, click here.